The galaxy was wide, the galaxy was loud, the galaxy was cruel. In the heart of a floating market where hundreds of species met, there was light and sound everywhere. Ships docked, merchants shouted, strange creatures bargained. It looked like chaos, but it was order for them. And in the middle of this storm of life there was a stage where beings were not selling goods, but selling lives. On that stage stood an alien girl, her skin glowing faintly like silver under the lights, her hair long and soft with a strange color that shifted like water, her eyes bright and full of fire, but inside her chest her heart beat with fear. She was not here by choice. She was here as a prize, she was here as property. The traders had caught her. They were calling her rare. They were calling her valuable. They were calling her dangerous. She hated them, but she stayed silent. She had learned silence was safer than screams. Around the stage stood crowds of aliens, tall ones with horns, short ones with scales, winged ones that whispered to each other, all staring at her with hunger. Some wanted her as a servant, some wanted her as a weapon, some just wanted to show off owning her. She kept her face strong. She did not want to give them the joy of seeing her weak, but in her heart she wondered, is this the end of my story? Is this how I disappear, sold to the highest bidder like an object? The trader raised his voice, his forearms waving high, his voice rough and greedy. Look at her. Rare bloodline, rare power. A jewel of the stars. Who will claim her? Who will make her theirs? The crowd shouted numbers. Credits, crystals, weapons. The price went higher and higher. Every shout felt like a chain tightening on her. Every number was like a nail in her freedom. She closed her eyes for a moment, wishing she could vanish, wishing she could be anywhere but here. And then, silence fell. Not full silence, but the kind of silence when something strange happens, something no one expects. The trader blinked, the crowd turned, because a new voice had spoken. Calm, steady. Human, I will claim her. The words were simple, but they cut through the noise like a blade. Standing near the edge of the crowd was a human man. Tall, rough clothes, face shadowed by light from above. He did not shout, he did not wave, he only spoke. But everyone heard him, and everyone gasped, because in this place, humans were weak, humans were ignored. Humans never claimed aliens, especially not like this. The alien girl opened her eyes, her breath caught in her throat. She stared at him in shock. She had never seen a human step into a market like this with such boldness. She had never seen a human stand so still, so calm as if nothing around him mattered. He was not rich, he was not powerful. He looked like no one, but the way he stood, the way he spoke made the ground feel different under her feet. The trader laughed at first, his teeth sharp, his eyes greedy. A human, you dare. You think you can pay the price, you think you can claim her. But the human did not move. The human did not shout. He simply looked at the trader and said again, "She is mine." The crowd roared. Some laughed, some hissed, some whispered. Foolish human, he will die, he cannot afford her, he cannot hold her. He is mad. The alien girl felt her chest tighten. She wanted to shout too, she wanted to ask, why him, why now, what game was this? But her voice was frozen, her eyes only locked on him. The trader tried to push him away, tried to mock him. But then something strange happened. The market laws, old laws of the galaxy, laws older than the traders themselves, were spoken by the system. Once a claim was made and not challenged by force, the claim stood, the crowd fell quiet again, because the human had done something no one expected. He had used the oldest law, the binding claim. The alien girl's heart raced. She knew what this meant. She knew what the bond meant. Once claimed under the ancient law, she was bound. She could not be sold to another. She could not run from it. She would be tied to this human, tied for life unless he released her. But why would he? Why would any being who dared such a claim release it? She looked at him, anger and fear boiling inside, her lips trembling with words she could not say, and in her mind one thought repeated. Who is this human? Why did he claim me? What does he want? The trader grumbled. Angry but helpless, the law was clear. The crowd began to leave, disappointed, some still laughing at the human, some whispering about his fate. But the alien girl stood frozen. As the human stepped closer, his eyes steady, his face unreadable and softly, so only she could hear, he said, "You don't understand yet." "But I just saved your life." Her body went cold. Her mind spun. Saved. What did he mean, saved? Was this salvation, or was this just another kind of prison? She could not tell, but one thing was clear. Her life had changed forever in that moment, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The alien girl walked beside the human, her steps heavy, her wrists glowing faintly with the mark of the bond. a thin silver light that wrapped around her skin like a chain. It was not a real chain, but it felt heavier than steel. Every move reminded her she was no longer free. She belonged to him now, the human who had claimed her, the human who had ruined her last chance to escape this galaxy's cruelty. The market was fading behind them, the noise of merchants, the smell of smoke, the voices of aliens, all shrinking as the human led her down a narrow path toward his ship. She wanted to scream at him, she wanted to pull away. But the bond made her body obey. The law was written into her very blood now. Her body listened to his will, even when her mind resisted. "Stop controlling me," she snapped, her voice sharp, her eyes glowing with anger. "I am not your pet, I am not your prize, you will regret this." Human, but the human did not even look at her. He kept walking, calm, quiet, as if her words were dust carried by the wind. When they reached the ramp of his ship, he finally turned, his face half lit by the glowing lights, his eyes calm but unreadable. "I am not controlling you. The bond only forces you to stay near me, your choices are still yours." She laughed bitterly. A cold sound. "My choices, you stole my choices. You claimed me like property. You chained me with this bond, and you speak of choices." The human's jaw tightened, his voice low, steady. "I did not claim you to own you. I claimed you to save you. If I had not spoken, they would have sold you to the syndicate, and you would already be dead. Or worse." The name struck her like a blade, syndicate. She had heard it whispered in the dark corners of her world, a shadow network of killers, slavers, and hunters. They wanted her because of what she was. Because of what ran in her blood. Her stomach turned. Her anger flickered for just a second, but she forced it back. Better death than chains. The human did not argue, he only looked at her, a long look, heavy, as if he saw something inside her she did not want anyone to see. Then he turned and walked into his ship, leaving her standing at the ramp, her fists clenched, her chest burning. She hated him, but the bond pulled her forward, her feet moved, and she followed, inside the ship. The air was different, metallic, old, filled with oil and dust. It was not the ship of a rich man. It was a soldier's ship, worn, scratched, patched together. She looked around, trying to read him from his home. The walls carried weapons from wars she did not know, some broken, some sharp. There were scars on the metal like scars on flesh. This was not a safe place, this was not a kind place. The human sat down in the pilot's chair, his hands moving across controls with ease. The engines hummed, the floor shook, and slowly the ship rose, leaving the market. Leaving the world behind, her chest tightened as she realized she was truly trapped now. There was no crowd to scream to, no one to help, only him. She moved closer, her voice quieter but still sharp. Why me? Why risk your life for me? Humans do not fight the syndicate, humans avoid them." "You should have walked away." The human looked at the stars on the screen before him, his voice calm, almost distant. "Because I know what the syndicate does. Because I know what they wanted with you. And because I swore long ago that I would never let them take another life if I could stop it." She frowned, confused. His words felt heavy, filled with shadows of old battles, but he was just a human. Nothing about him looked powerful. Nothing about him explained why he dared to step into a market full of killers. "You speak like a soldier," she whispered. "Not meaning to, but you are human and humans are weak here." For the first time, his lips curved into something like a smile. Not joy, not warmth, but a sharp edge of memory. Weakness is not what you think it is. Sometimes weakness hides strength. Sometimes weakness survives where strength dies. His words unsettled her. She wanted to laugh at him, but something in his tone silenced her. She turned away, sitting on the cold metal floor, hugging her knees, the glow of the bond around her wrist dimming slightly, her mind filled with questions she did not want to ask. Questions about him, about his past, about why her life was now tied to his. Hours passed in silence, the stars sliding by outside the ship. She tried to resist sleep, but exhaustion pulled at her, her body still weak from capture, her eyes heavy, and finally she drifted. But even in sleep, the bond hummed, reminding her she was no longer free when she woke. The human was still at the controls, his eyes fixed ahead, no sign of rest, no sign of fear, just calm, endless calm. She hated him for that calm, but deep inside a small voice whispered, maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he had saved her, maybe. But then she shook her head. No, she could not believe him, not yet. He was still her captor, he was still her enemy, and she swore to herself, no matter the bond, no matter the law, she would find a way to break free. She would not belong to anyone, and yet, As she looked at him again, that same thought returned, heavy, strange, frightening. Who is this human? And why does he feel more dangerous than the syndicate itself? The alien girl stayed quiet in the corner of the ship, her glowing eyes never leaving the human. She watched every move he made, every breath he took. She did not trust him. She did not believe him, and she did not understand him. He was human, yet he had stood against the market. He had used the bond law. He had pulled her from the claws of the syndicate, but why? Why would a human risk so much for someone like her? The ship drifted through the stars, its engines humming with a low sound. The galaxy stretched wide outside the window, endless black sprinkled with silver lights. She had traveled far before. She had seen markets, prisons, hidden worlds, but this felt different. This felt like being pulled into a shadow she could not see the end of. The human spoke little, only when needed, his voice calm, steady, sometimes too calm it made her uneasy. She wanted him to shout, to break, to show fear, but he never did instead. He sat in the pilot's chair like a stone, unmoving, unshaken, as if he had flown through storms 1,000 times before when he left the controls to rest. She followed him with her eyes, not trusting, always waiting for a mistake, but then she noticed things, small things, hidden things, the way he moved, the way his hands carried old scars. Deep cuts healed but never forgotten, marks of blades, burns, and bullets. No ordinary human carried scars like that. She grew curious, though she hated herself for it. One night when he finally slept, she crept across the ship, silent as wind, her fingers tracing the walls, searching, her eyes sharp. She found compartments half hidden, doors that slid open only with force. Inside she saw weapons, not human weapons, but alien weapons, blasters, plasma blades, grenades from wars fought in galaxies far away, and each one looked used, not collected, not trophies, but tools, tools of survival. Her chest tightened. Who was he? How did a human carry weapons of 10 species? How did he survive battles that should have killed him? She searched further, finding an old chest locked tight. She pressed her glowing fingers to it. Forcing it open, inside were files, holograms, fragments of old wars, soldiers shouting, planets burning, syndicate symbols carved in red. And in the middle of it all, she saw him, younger. But it was him. The same eyes, standing in uniform, standing among warriors not human but alien, standing as if he belonged with them. Her breath caught. Her mind spun. He was not just a wanderer, not just a fool who claimed her. He was a fighter, a soldier, a ghost from a war she barely remembered. She reached for the hologram, the glow of it lighting her face. His name was written there, but not the name he told her, a different name, a name that carried weight in old battles, a name whispered in fear by the syndicate. She gasped, the sound too loud, and suddenly a voice spoke behind her, low, quiet, but sharp as a blade. You should not be here. She froze, the hologram still in her hand. She turned slowly, and there he was, standing in the shadow, his eyes not calm this time, his eyes sharp, heavy, almost burning. He stepped closer, his voice steady but filled with warning. These are not your memories. These are mine. Her hands trembled, but she forced her voice. Who are you? What are you hiding? Why do you have their weapons? Why do you carry their scars? Why were you in their war? He looked at her. Long, silent, then he closed the chest with one firm hand, the hologram vanishing, the lock sealing again. I am no one, he said, his tone heavy. I was a soldier once in a war that was not mine. I fought beside those who were not human. I bled for a cause that was not my own. And when the war ended, I walked away. Her eyes narrowed. Anger and confusion mixed. No one does not fight wars. No one does not carry scars. You are lying, you are hiding something, and it is tied to me, is it not? You did not just save me. You claimed me because of this. Because of your past. He turned away, his shoulders tense, his voice quieter now, almost tired. You do not understand what they wanted with you. You do not understand why I could not let them take you. The syndicate has hunted me for years, and now they hunt you too. Our fates are tied, whether you wish it or not. Her chest burned with rage. She wanted to fight him, to strike him, but the bond glowed on her wrist, reminding her of the law, reminding her of the chain. She clenched her fists, her voice sharp. Then I will find the truth myself if you will not tell me. I will uncover it. I will not be your prisoner in the dark. The human did not stop her words. He did not argue. He only stood there in silence, his face unreadable, his eyes carrying shadows deeper than she could see. And for the first time she felt something strange, not fear, not hate, but curiosity, dangerous curiosity. That night she lay awake, her eyes on the ceiling of the ship, her mind full of his scars, his weapons, his hidden name. She hated him still, but she wanted to know, she needed to know. What secret did he carry? What link tied him to her? What truth was hiding in his calm silence and in the shadows of the ship? The human sat alone, his hand on the old chest, his eyes lost in memory, whispering to himself words she could not hear, words heavy with regret. I swore I would never let it happen again. The bond pulsed faintly between them, silver light in the dark. 2 lives tied, 2 fates bound, and the galaxy outside waited, holding dangers neither of them were ready to face. The ship floated through the void, quiet, steady, carrying the human and the alien girl away from the market, away from the noise of trade and chains, but not away from danger. Danger followed like a shadow. Danger whispered in the black of space. Danger wore the name she feared most, the Syndicate. The alien girl felt it first, not with her eyes, not with her ears, but with the strange sense her kind carried, a vibration in her bones, a weight in her chest, something hunting, something near. She turned her glowing eyes toward the human, her voice sharp. They are coming. The human did not turn. His hands already moved across the controls, his face calm, too calm, as if he had been waiting for this moment. I know, he said softly. I saw their trail hours ago. Her chest tightened. And you said nothing? He glanced at her once, his eyes steady. Panic never saves anyone. Preparation does. She hated his calm, hated the way he spoke as if nothing touched him. But before she could argue, the ship shook. A pulse of light cut across the stars. Syndicate hunters had found them. Small ships, fast, sharp like blades, circling, their red lights glowing like hungry eyes. The alien girl gripped the edge of her seat, her voice low, bitter. This is your fault. They were after me. Now they are after us both. The human's voice was steady, almost cold. No, they were after you long before me. I only gave them a reason to strike sooner. The first blast hit, the ship rattled, alarms rang. The stars blurred as he twisted the controls, pulling them into a spiral, lasers slicing past, fire lighting the void. She fell to the floor, caught herself, anger burning, fear rising, and yet she saw him. Hands steady, eyes sharp, every move precise. Like a man dancing with death. Strap in, he said. His voice like steel. This will not be quick, she obeyed. Not because she wanted to, but because the bond pulled her near him, forcing her to stay close, forcing her to trust the one she hated. The ship dove, spun, engines roaring. Hunters chasing like wolves. And still the human did not panic. He moved as if he had done this 100 times, maybe 1,000. She looked at him, the scars on his hands, the shadows in his eyes, the truth of what she had seen in his hidden chest. This was not an ordinary human. This was a fighter, a ghost, someone who carried war in his blood. The hunters closed in, red light flashing across the windows. One fired again. The ship shook hard, sparks flying, smoke rising. The girl cried out, "We cannot outrun them!" He did not answer. He pressed a switch, hidden panels opened, and weapons she had never seen on a human ship came alive. Turrets hummed, cannons glowed. The ship that looked weak now roared with teeth. "We do not run," he said, his voice sharp. "We fight." The cannons fired. Light burst through the dark. One hunter exploded, fire scattering across the void. The others pulled back, circling wider, more careful now. The alien girl stared, wide-eyed, her chest heavy with shock. "You are not human," she whispered. "Not only human." He did not look at her, his voice calm as the storm raged. "I am human, but I learned to fight like them. Because I had to." The hunters came again. Faster, sharper, their formation tight. The human's eyes narrowed. His hands moved like lightning. Every shot precise, every turn deadly. She could feel it now. This was not luck. This was not chance. This was skill. Skill born from battles long buried. Battles no human should have survived. She gripped the seat tighter, her anger still burning, but another feeling crept in. A feeling she hated more than the bond. A feeling called trust. A voice inside her whispered, "He will not let us die." The battle stretched long. The hunters many, but one by one they fell, his weapons cutting through, his ship bleeding smoke but never stopping. At last the last hunter broke, fleeing into the void. Vanishing like a shadow at dawn, silence returned, broken only by the crackle of damaged wires, the hum of tired engines. The alien girl breathed hard, her body shaking, her eyes fixed on him, the man who had just fought off a fleet of syndicate hunters. Alone in a ship that should have been dust. "Who are you?" She whispered, softer this time, not with anger, but with fear. "What are you?" He leaned back, his chest rising slowly. his voice tired but steady. I am what they made me. I am what I swore never to be again, but for you. I had no choice. Her heart raced. Her mind spun. What did he mean? What past tied him to her? What oath kept him bound to fight shadows that never died? She wanted answers, but his eyes closed just for a moment. His voice fading. Rest, they will come again, but not tonight. She sat in silence, the glow of the bond faint on her wrist. Her mind heavy, the syndicate had chased her. The syndicate had hunted him, now their shadows had joined. And the galaxy felt colder, darker, more dangerous than ever before, but as she looked at him, scars lit by broken lights, calm even in the storm, she felt something she never wanted to feel, something she never expected to feel, safer with him than without him. And that truth frightened her more than the syndicate itself. The ship floated in silence. The stars calm again, but inside the metal walls the air was heavy. Smoke from broken wires drifted slowly. Lights flickered. The engines whispered weakly. Both the human and the alien girl sat in that silence. Their bodies alive but their thoughts torn. They had survived the syndicate attack. But survival did not erase the truth. The syndicate was still hunting, and they would not stop. The alien girl hugged her knees in the corner, her glowing eyes fixed on the man who had saved her. She hated him, she feared him, but now, after the battle, she felt something worse. She felt bound to him not just by the silver glow on her wrist, but by the way he fought, by the way he refused to break, by the way his calm cut through chaos. She told herself it was only the bond, only the law forcing her close, but a voice inside whispered, "You trusted him when death came." She shook her head, trying to silence it, her voice sharp. "You think this changes anything? You think I will thank you? But I will not. You forced this bond on me, you stole my freedom. And no matter how many syndicate ships you destroy, I will never forgive you." The human looked at her, his eyes steady as always, his voice quiet. "I do not want your thanks, I only want you alive." She wanted to scream. His words were simple, too simple, like walls she could not break, no matter what she threw at them. She pressed her palm against the bond mark on her wrist. The glow throbbed, faint but unbreakable. "You do not understand," she said. "Softer now. This bond, it is poison, it ties me to you. It ties my blood, my breath, my life. And if you fall, I fall too." His eyes narrowed, his voice heavier. "Then I will not fall." She stared at him, stunned by his certainty. How could any human speak like that? How could anyone carry such weight in their voice? He was a man full of scars, full of secrets. And still he spoke as if death itself would hesitate before touching him. She hated that part of him most of all, because it made her believe him, even when she did not want to. Days passed as the ship limped through space. He worked on repairs, silent, steady, his hands blackened with oil, his face tired but never weak. She watched him secretly, learning without meaning to. She noticed how he moved with caution, how he checked every corner before resting, how his eyes scanned the stars not like a traveler but like a soldier always expecting danger. He lived like someone who had been hunted too long, and maybe that was why he understood her more than she wanted him to. The bond forced them close, forced them to share space, forced them to eat together, to breathe the same recycled air. Sometimes she caught herself speaking to him without meaning to, small words, small questions, and sometimes he answered in ways that unsettled her. Calm, sharp, but with a strange honesty. No lies, no games, just truth she did not always want to hear. One night, when the stars outside burned bright, she asked almost against her will, "Why do you never rest? Why do you sit awake while others sleep?" He was quiet for a long moment, then said, "Because when I rest I see faces I cannot forget. And when I wake I remember I failed them. So I stay awake." Her chest tightened, she did not know what to say. So she stayed silent, but in her silence, she felt something dangerous, sympathy, and she hated it. She told herself he was still her captor, still her enemy. But her heart was beginning to doubt. The syndicate struck again, not with ships this time, but with spies on a small station where they stopped for fuel. Cloaked figures followed them through the market. Blades hidden, eyes sharp, the alien girl sensed them first. But the human was already moving, already leading her through back alleys, already preparing for the strike. When the assassins attacked, he fought with brutal precision. Every move meant to kill, not waste, and she fought beside him, her glowing hands burning through the shadows, their enemies falling one by one when it was over. She stood panting, blood on her arms, her heart racing. She looked at him, sweat on his brow, but calm as always, and she realized something terrifying. They had fought as one. not because she chose to, but because her body had trusted him. Her body had followed his lead. Their bond not just chains now, but rhythm, dangerous rhythm. She stepped back, shaking her head, whispering to herself, No, I cannot. I will not trust you. This is the bond. This is not me. But the human only looked at her, his voice calm but sharp. You do not have to trust me, but if we are to live, you must fight with me. Her lips trembled, anger burning, but she could not argue, because the truth was clear. Without him, she would already be dead. Without him, the syndicate would have her in chains. And though she hated it, though she fought it, she knew the bond had forced her into a choice she never wanted. Fight beside the human or die without him that night. When the ship left the station, she sat alone in the corner, her arms wrapped tight around herself, her heart heavy, her mind burning. She whispered to the stars, I will not trust him, I cannot. But why do my hands already know his movements? Why does my heart already know his rhythm? And somewhere deep inside, a voice she could not silence answered, Because the bond is not only law, the bond is truth, and truth is harder to break than chains. The days stretched long as the ship drifted across the stars, but silence was never empty between them. Silence carried weight, silence carried questions, and in that silence the alien girl felt the bond pulling her closer to the human. Even when her heart pushed away, she wanted to hate him, she wanted to break free, yet every battle, every danger, tied her tighter not by force but by rhythm. By survival she had searched his ship. She had seen weapons from wars, scars that marked his skin, files that whispered of a name he no longer spoke. But the truth was still hidden. Locked deep inside him, he spoke of saving her, of protecting her from the syndicate. But she knew, she felt it in the bond. There was more, something greater, something that linked her to him in ways she did not yet understand. One night, when the stars glowed red outside, burning like distant fire, she sat across from him in the dim light of the ship, her glowing eyes sharp, her voice low. You will tell me now. No more silence, no more walls. Why did you claim me? Why me? Out of all the beings in that market, why risk your life for me? The human did not answer at first. His eyes fixed on the floor, his hand tight around a cup of cold water, his silence heavier than his words. Finally, he looked at her, and for the first time she saw it. Not calm, not control, but something else. Something fragile, regret. I knew who you were the moment I saw you, he said. His voice rough, slow, as if every word cost him. I knew because I saw your eyes. I saw the same light I once swore to protect. And I could not let them take you. Her chest tightened. Confusion mixed with fear. My eyes, my blood, what do you mean? What do you know about me? He stood, walked to the old chest she had once broken open, pressed his scarred hand against the lock, and the lid opened with a soft hum. Holograms flickered into the air, battles, burning worlds, soldiers standing. Tall syndicate ships raining fire, and in the center of it all, a younger version of him leading, fighting, surviving. She stared, her breath heavy, her heart racing. You were their enemy. He nodded slowly. I was a soldier in the Galactic War. I fought against the syndicate when humans were dragged into battles we did not belong to. But I fought beside your kind. I fought beside those who carried your blood, because they carried something ancient, something powerful, something the syndicate wanted to erase. Her glowing hands trembled, her voice sharp with denial. No, you lie, my people are gone. My family is gone, we were slaves, we were nothing. His voice cut through her pain, steady but soft. No, you are not nothing. You are the last of them. The last with the bloodline that can awaken the old weapon. The one hidden deep in the stars. The one the syndicate fears and desires at the same time. That is why they hunted you. That is why they tried to buy you. That is why I had to claim you before they did. Her heart pounded. Her breath short, she shook her head again and again. No, I am just a girl, I am not a weapon. I am not a key, but the bond on her wrist glowed brighter. Silver light pulsing, answering his words with truth. And she felt it in her chest. A strange burning, a strange awakening. Something old, something deep. Something she did not understand, but it was real. And it terrified her. Tears filled her eyes, her voice shaking. You knew this. You knew all along you did not save me, you trapped me, you bound me. Because I am useful to you. The human stepped closer, his eyes steady, his voice heavy with honesty. No, I bound you because it was the only way to keep you alive. If the syndicate had claimed you, they would already be unlocking the weapon. They would already be burning worlds with it. I swore long ago I would never let that happen again. Not after what I saw, not after what I lost. His words struck her. Heavy, sharp, full of pain she did not yet understand. She wanted to fight him, to deny him. But her heart burned with questions she could not silence. Her voice broke. What did you lose? He closed the chest, his hands trembling for the first time, his eyes dark with shadows. Everything, he whispered. Friends, brothers, sisters in arms, a cause I believed in all lost because I failed. Because I was not fast enough, not strong enough, not ready. I swore I would never let another fall if I could stop it. And when I saw you, I saw their faces again. I saw the chance to keep my oath. The alien girl sat frozen, her heart torn, her mind drowning. Part of her wanted to believe him. Part of her wanted to scream at him, to call him a liar, a manipulator. But the bond pulsed again, silver light strong, and she felt it, the truth. His pain was real, his oath was real, his regret was real, and now she was part of it. She looked at him, tears shining in her glowing eyes, her voice soft, broken. Then I am not free, am I? I will never be free. Because my blood ties me to a weapon and my bond ties me to you. The human knelt in front of her, his voice quiet but sharp. Maybe not free, but alive. And as long as I breathe, you will stay alive. No matter the cost. Her heart twisted, anger and sorrow mixed with something else. Something she feared more than death, hope. The truth was revealed, and it was heavier than chains. The stars burned brighter than usual, but the alien girl felt no peace in their glow. The truth weighed heavy in her chest. Her bloodline was not just hers, it was a key, a weapon hidden across the galaxy. And now she knew why the syndicate hunted her, why the human had claimed her, why their fates were tied. She wanted to hate him, she wanted to escape, but there was no time. The syndicate had already found them again. Their ships came like a storm. Dozens of hunters, shadows with red eyes, their engines roaring, their weapons glowing. The syndicate did not want to capture this time. They wanted to destroy, to erase both of them before the secret of the weapon could rise again. The human stood at the front of the ship, his hands steady on the controls, his voice calm as fire filled the void. This is it, they will not stop, not now, not ever. The alien girl clenched her fists, the bond glowing on her wrist pulsing harder with every passing moment. She felt his strength, his focus, but also his pain, his regrets, and she knew this was not just his fight. It was hers too. The first wave struck. Blasts shook the ship. Sparks burst across the walls. Alarms screamed. She stumbled, but the human's hand caught her, pulling her steady, his voice sharp. Stay with me if you fall. We both fall. She glared at him, her voice fierce. Then let us fall fighting, and for the first time, he almost smiled. The battle began. The ship spinning, diving, firing. Syndicate hunters swarmed like vultures, their red fire cutting through space. But the human moved with skill that seemed impossible. Every turn precise, every shot a strike. His scars and his secrets now clear in every movement. He was a soldier still, no matter what he claimed. The alien girl felt the bond burning stronger. Her blood boiling, her hands glowing brighter. Suddenly, the weapons of the ship responded to her touch, as if the bond linked her to the systems. Ancient codes awakening through her veins. The cannons glowed brighter, firing faster, sharper, cutting down hunters with bursts of silver light. The human glanced at her, his eyes sharp with realization. It's happening, the weapon inside you. The bond is unlocking it. Her chest burned, the glow spreading across her arms, but she did not stop. She fired again and again, her voice a whisper to herself. I am not your tool, I am not their prize. I fight for me. The syndicate sent heavier ships, massive destroyers rising from the void, their shadows blotting out the stars. The human's face hardened, his voice steady but grim. We cannot win against all of them, not here. Not like this, but she shook her head, her glowing eyes fierce. Then we make our stand here. Now the destroyers fired. Blasts shook the ship like thunder. Metal cracked. Alarms screamed louder, fire spread. The bond flared so bright it lit the cabin. She felt the human's will through it, strong, unyielding, his voice echoing inside her mind. We fight together or we die together, and so they fought. Human and alien, scarred soldier and hidden heir, their bond no longer chains but a weapon of its own. Every move won, every strike united. Their enemies falling like ash into the void. Yet more came, endless, countless. The syndicate was a storm with no end at last. The ship took a fatal blow. Flames erupted, the controls sparked. The human staggered, blood on his arm, his breath heavy. But still he stood, his voice sharp. We cannot hold. They will destroy us, you must choose now. Her heart raced, her glowing hands trembling. The bond pulsing with unbearable light, she looked at him, at the man who had saved her, fought beside her, hidden truths but carried regret. The man she had hated and feared, but also the man she now trusted more than herself. Tears burned her eyes, her voice breaking. Choose what? His voice was quiet now, heavy with finality. Break the bond and run, save yourself. Or keep the bond and fight with me, and together we may die, but we may also change everything. The galaxy held its breath. Fire raged around them. The syndicate closed in. The bond glowed like a living flame between them. She felt the weight of destiny pressing on her chest, and in that moment, she saw the truth. Freedom was not just running. Freedom was choosing. And this choice was hers alone. She stepped closer, her hand trembling as it reached for his, the bond flaring so bright it nearly blinded them. Her voice steady now, stronger than ever. I will not run. I will not leave you. I choose to fight. Not because of the bond, but because it is my will. The human's eyes widened. For once his calm broke, a flicker of shock, then something else, something softer. Respect? He nodded once, his voice low. Then we fight as one. The bond surged, brighter than stars. Their lives tied not by law now, but by choice. And the syndicate ships fired again, fire swallowing the void. The ship exploding into light, but in that light, something ancient awoke. Something the galaxy had forgotten. Something born of her blood and his will. The weapon of the stars, hidden for centuries, unleashed by the bond of a human and an alien girl. And as the light spread across the black, every world, every watcher, every enemy would know that the syndicate's shadow had finally met its match.